Cleveland, Ohio. A city built on grit and steel, where neighbors wave from porches and kids chase each other down tree-lined streets. On one of those streets, Seymour Avenue, stood a house that blended in like all the rest. But it held a secret no one could have imagined. To anyone passing by, it was just another aging home. Weather-worn, quiet. Occasionally, music spilled from the windows, or the sound of tools clanged in the backyard. Nothing unusual. But inside those walls, something unthinkable was happening. 3 young women had vanished from the city, one by one, years apart. Their disappearances shook the community but offered no clues, no sightings, no suspects, no goodbyes. It was as if they had simply vanished into thin air. What no one knew was that they were closer than anyone dared to imagine. August 23rd, 2002. It was supposed to be a short walk. 19-year-old Michelle Knight had left her cousin's house in Cleveland, headed to a court appointment. Her son, barely a toddler, had been taken into custody by Child Protective Services. That day, she hoped to begin the process of getting him back, but Michelle never made it to court. And by nightfall, her absence had barely registered outside her immediate family. She was young. She had bounced between homes, and because she was over 18, her case didn't attract much attention. To the outside world, it was easy to assume she had just left, disappeared voluntarily. But her family knew better. Michelle loved her son deeply. She would never have left him behind. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Her name faded from headlines. Her missing person case, filed, then quietly forgotten. What no one knew was that Michelle hadn't left Cleveland. She was still in the city, hidden in plain sight, and she would remain missing for over a decade. April 21st, 2003. Just one day before her 17th birthday, Amanda Berry was wrapping up her shift at a local Burger King. She called her sister around 8 p.m., letting her know she'd be getting a ride home. She never arrived. The next day, Amanda's family was in a panic. She wasn't the type to disappear. She had plans, dreams, a part-time job, and a loving relationship with her mother. Her birthday came and went with no sign of her. Then came the phone call. Amanda's mother, Luana, picked up the line, only to hear a male voice on the other end. He said Amanda was fine, and that she would be back soon. Then he hung up. It was a chilling moment, and one that turned a missing persons case into something far darker. Amanda's face was soon plastered across news reports, flyers, and milk cartons. Unlike Michelle's case, Amanda's disappearance caught the media's attention. People searched, hoped, prayed, but days turned into months, months into years. With every passing moment, the hope of finding Amanda alive began to dim. No one knew she hadn't gone far. She was still in Cleveland, and she wasn't alone. April 2nd, 2004. 14-year-old Georgina DeJesus was walking home from school. She had just said goodbye to her best friend, Arlene, who happened to be the daughter of a local man everyone in the neighborhood knew. They had asked if Gina could sleep over, but Arlene's mom said no, so Gina turned and began her walk alone. She never made it home. When Gina's parents realized she was missing, panic spread like wildfire. This wasn't like her. She was young, careful, and had a loving family waiting for her return. Within hours, police were involved. Flyers were made. Candlelight vigils were held. And the city was on edge. What made Gina's disappearance even more haunting was how close it felt to Amanda Berry's. Same neighborhood, same time of day, same eerie silence afterward, but there were no suspects, no evidence, and no reason anyone could understand. The two families, Amanda's and Gina's, would go on to hold fundraisers and awareness events together. Unknowingly, both girls were now connected by something far more sinister than circumstance. By now, 3 girls had vanished from the same city. Over the span of just 2 years, no one could have guessed. They were all trapped in the same place, waiting, hoping, surviving. For the outside world, time moved on. Seasons changed. Schools opened and closed. Families celebrated birthdays, holidays, and graduations. Inside that house, time stood still. Behind covered windows and locked doors, 3 young women were living a nightmare in silence. Each day bled into the next, marked only by fear, uncertainty, and the relentless passing of years. They were kept isolated from the world, and from each other. Their names were whispered in news reports. Their pictures faded on missing posters. But inside those walls, their voices were silenced. Basic necessities were stripped away. Comfort became a memory. Their survival depended on adapting to the ever-changing mood of the man who held them. Kindness was rare. Control was constant. And yet, even in darkness, small sparks of resilience began to take shape. They found ways to communicate, to comfort each other, to stay alive, not just physically, but mentally. They shared their stories, their fears, their hope, and together, they made a pact to never stop believing they'd be free. Years passed, and no one came, but deep within each of them, something refused to give up. May 6, 2013. It had been over a decade since Michelle Knight disappeared. 10 years since Amanda Berry vanished. 9 years since Gina DeJesus was last seen. And then, on a warm spring afternoon, something happened that would shatter the silence forever. Inside the house, Amanda Berry sensed a change. The man who held them had left the door to one room unlocked, just slightly, and for the first time, she saw a sliver of light. Not just from a bulb, but from the outside. She didn't hesitate. Amanda ran to the front door, but it was chained shut. She screamed, pounded, cried out for help. A neighbor, a man named Charles Ramsey, was across the street, just finishing a meal. He heard the screams. At first he thought it was a domestic dispute, but something told him to check. He ran over, and what he saw would become one of the most unforgettable moments in true crime history. Amanda Berry, alive, slamming her fists through the screen, screaming for help. Ramsey helped break through the door. Amanda stumbled out, clutching a young child by the hand, her daughter, born during captivity. In the chaos, she called 911. Her voice trembled, but her words were clear. "My name is Amanda Berry. I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here now. I'm free." Within minutes, police swarmed Seymour Avenue, and what they found inside would shake the city to its core. When Cleveland police arrived at the house, they didn't know what to expect. The 911 call had sounded almost unbelievable. Amanda Berry, the missing teenager from a decade ago, claiming she was alive. But the moment they stepped inside, they knew it was real. In one room, they found Gina DeJesus. In another, Michelle Knight. Both women looked stunned and relieved. For the first time in years, someone had come for them. The house was a maze of makeshift locks, boarded windows, and improvised barriers. It wasn't just a place of captivity. It was a prison built in plain sight. Officers quickly ushered all three women, and Amanda's young daughter, to safety. Word spread fast. Crowds gathered outside. News vans rolled in. Police tape wrapped around the house as stunned neighbors watched from sidewalks. Soon after, the man responsible returned to the scene. He didn't run. He didn't resist. He was arrested on the spot. As he sat in the back of a squad car, the world outside began to unravel the horror that had taken place behind his closed doors. The city of Cleveland, once haunted by the unexplained disappearances of 3 girls, was now consumed by the stunning realization that they had never left. They had been there all along. News of the rescue spread like wildfire. A story once shrouded in mystery was now laid bare for the world to see. The names of Amanda Berry, Michelle Knight, and Gina DeJesus, once whispered in despair, were now shouted in triumph. Their survival was nothing short of miraculous. The city of Cleveland, which had been shaken by the disappearances, now rallied around the women. Strangers sent flowers, cards, and donations. Support poured in from across the globe. The world was astonished, inspired by their strength. For over a decade, these women had been hidden from view, yet they had never truly been forgotten. But amidst the celebration, there were questions. How had this happened? How had a man like Ariel Castro, someone so familiar in the community, kept such an unimaginable secret? The arrest of Ariel Castro made national headlines. His trial would unfold in front of the eyes of millions, offering a chilling glimpse into the horrors he had inflicted. The man who once appeared as a quiet, unassuming bus driver was now unmasked as one of the most notorious criminals in American history. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, cameras, and spectators filled the benches, eager to witness the trial of Ariel Castro, the man who had held 3 women captive for years. The women themselves, Amanda Berry, Michelle Knight, and Gina DeJesus, didn't need to attend. Their voices would be heard, but in their own time and in their own way. The trial began with the chilling details of Castro's crimes. He was charged with multiple counts, including kidnapping, rape, and aggravated murder. As the charges were read aloud, there was a collective gasp in the room. But what really shocked everyone was the moment Castro himself took the stand. In a bizarre turn, Castro chose to plead guilty to 937 charges. He admitted to imprisoning and abusing the women, but his defense was that he loved them and had not planned to hurt them. His words were incomprehensible to those in the courtroom, a twisted attempt to justify the horrific actions he'd taken. The victims spoke, but not in court. Instead, they issued powerful statements to the public. They told their stories, reclaiming their voices that had been stolen so many years ago. Each woman had their own journey to healing, but together, They had proven that even in the darkest of times, survival was possible. On August 1st, 2013, Ariel Castro was sentenced to life in prison, with no chance of parole. His fate was sealed, but his legacy would remain one of darkness and evil. He would spend the rest of his life behind bars, serving the sentence that had been a long time coming. The trial was over, but for the women, the journey was far from complete. Their lives, shattered in ways unimaginable to most, would never be the same. Yet, in their eyes, there was something stronger now: resilience. Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus did not let the horrors define them forever. They chose to rise. Michelle Knight, who had endured the longest captivity, became a powerful advocate for victims of abuse. She changed her name to Lily, symbolizing the transformation of her spirit. Lily became a voice for those who felt voiceless, speaking out for the rights of survivors and for children who had experienced trauma. She also wrote a book about her journey, Finding Me, A Decade of Darkness, A Life Reclaimed, where she shared her story of survival, strength, and healing. The book became a beacon for those who had suffered in silence, showing that survival was possible even after the darkest of experiences. Amanda Berry, the woman who had called for help, became a symbol of hope for those still trapped in their own private nightmares. She went on to reunite with her family and eventually started a foundation to help others affected by abduction and abuse. In 2018, she wrote her own memoir, Hope, a memoir of survival in Cleveland, where she chronicled her experiences, from the horror of her captivity to the moment she was finally free. The book was a message to the world that even in the most impossible circumstances, hope could still shine through. Gina DeJesus, the youngest of the three, spent years coming to terms with her experience. But she didn't shy away from it. She embraced it, using her platform to raise awareness for missing persons. Gina's story of survival was a message to the world. No one is ever truly forgotten, even when they feel lost. In 2016, she released Hope, a memoir of survival, alongside Amanda, a dual account of their time in captivity and the strength it took to survive. Their combined story was a testament to the unbreakable bond they formed and to the incredible power of hope. Meanwhile, Ariel Castro's life came to a tragic end. On September 3, 2013, just a month after being sentenced, Castro was found dead in his prison cell. His death was ruled a suicide. The man who had tormented these women for so many years would never face the consequences of his actions in the way many had hoped. But his death was, in the eyes of the survivors, another step toward reclaiming their power. The house at 2207 Seymour Avenue, the place where so much suffering had taken place, would eventually be torn down. A reminder that sometimes, the physical structures of evil can be destroyed, but the strength of those who survived it, that can never be taken away. Together, the three women formed a bond that no tragedy could break. They supported each other through their healing process, showing the world that while the scars would always remain, they could overcome anything. Their legacy is one of courage, survival, and the unwavering belief that freedom is possible, even when the odds seem insurmountable. They were no longer victims, they were fighters, and that's the end of the story. If you liked this video and want to support the channel for more true crime stories, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Your support means the world, and we'll keep bringing you these gripping real-life tales.